Good morning and happy Friday. My name's Patricia Martucci and I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist, and I practice in New York, New Jersey, and virtually in California. So I wanted to come on today and talk a little bit about a theme that keeps coming up this time of year, as I work with a lot of young adults, and I have a lot of clients who are preparing to step into the unknown. Whether it's they've graduated from college and are looking for a new job or their first job. I've got a lot of clients who are heading off to college and having their first experience of being on their own. And or even just going into high school as well. I have some people in that stage of life, and a common theme that keeps coming up is, in anticipation of these changes, really, how do we deal with the unknown? And what we've been talking a lot about is what we do to fill the space of the unknown, right? So I always say that if I think we were comfortable really living in this space of the not knowing, then I probably wouldn't have a job, because I think this is something that creates a lot of kind of neuroses, really. And what I mean by that is that, the space of living in this unknown place, as uncomfortable as that can be, what I've noticed that the mind oftentimes does when we're in that situation is kind of fills up that space with different things. And some of those things are not necessarily the most helpful. So one of the things that comes up a lot that I notice is, when we're in this stage of really just being with and accepting the moment in time that we're in, and we have something pending, the mind might decide to like start to kind of explore the worst case scenario, or that anticipatory anxiety, or trying to plan and prepare for the worst possible situation. Or sometimes our brain will even tell us that the worst possible situation is going to happen, just to prepare us for the time, if that is what it is. And as we know, when things happen in life, we don't no matter how much worrying we do before, it doesn't necessarily prepare us for whatever that situation might be. And what we can do, sadly, in those cases is we can spend a lot of time in the present moment that we could be engaging in, other activities that would help to calm our nerves, help regulate our nervous system. We spend in this fantasy place, that doesn't exist, that is really telling us all really scary things about how it could be. And so what I wanted to offer today, in this time of change and transition, are different other possible ways to cope with the unknown space that much of us are living in, right now and all the time. Really, all we know to be true is this exact moment, and what's happening in this moment. And that's really the moment that we have. So some of the things I like to focus on when I'm myself in a place of unknown, and I'm in this moment, and having fears about the future, or really thinking about the past. Sometimes what I try to do is remind myself, though there might be a lot of change happening in my outer world, that there's certain things that are gonna remain constant, that aren't changing, especially as we're taking upon a big change, such as going off to college for the first time, or again, like preparing to, start a new job, but we're interviewing and we don't really know, what that's going to look like, right? Or we don't know what college is going to look like. Am I going to have friends? Am I going to join a sorority fraternity? Am I going to fit in to my new school? These are all things that we can definitely spend a lot of time really overthinking. So again, so when this happens, what I want to usually ground and help ground, when this happens to me, this is what I do, and also what I want to share and like to share with my clients, is really grounding in, first of all, the knowns. And I like to look at nature and, different ways that no matter what kind of things life presents to us in the outside world, that the sun gets up every single morning, predictably at the time that we know, the sunrise is set for. And there's a cycle to it, and there's a system, and every night it goes down really at a time that we're pretty much aware of based on the cycles and systems, that we've observed in nature. And so that's one thing, that no matter what's going on around us in life with all the ebbs and flows, that we can seek comfort in knowing that that's going to be a constant. I'm a registered yoga teacher, and I love the moon cycles. It's something that we really focused on in my yoga teacher training. And so it's fun for me to follow something predictable, such as the moon cycles. We can predict when the new moon is coming and the full moons, and and different astrological signs as well, really I think are fun to kind of pay attention to, because there's some predictability within that too. And so there's different things that we can find that are, really staying the same, that aren't changing. We have certain relationships that we feel comfortable and content in already, some of us, that we can know and trust that those relationships are going to continue to be supportive in our life, that we can find peace and groundedness in some of the security and safety and stability that we feel like we have right now, and different routines and structures. I think, having routine, and even when we're in this transition stage and we don't yet have the thing, we haven't yet started school, or we haven't yet, received the job offer that we're going to accept, or started the job, what we can do is we can set a sense of structure in, we can get up around the same time every day. We can make sure that our nutrition is good. We can eat, our 3 meals a day, and sometimes snacks, in between, and have that structured at a similar time. We can try to go to bed around the same time, and so, we can try to maintain contact with supportive friends, during this time, and continue to explore, even though we don't have the thing yet, the next big thing happening, in our life, and in some cases don't know what that is. We can still explore and grow in other aspects of our life. I love ACT therapy, acceptance and commitment therapy, where we get to focus on different areas of our values in life and look at that. And probably only one part, like work or school, is just one part of the bigger picture of life. So, my clients that are going through change and transition and sort of, don't really have answers yet, it's like, okay, why don't, maybe there's other areas that you want to explore within your inner world and yourself. Like maybe you want to pick up journaling, or doing something fun, finding a new hobby, exploring different other aspects of life. Like I love to send my clients, I have a list of over 200 planned pleasurable activities that comes from the APA, American Psychological Association website. And it's part of a therapy called DBT, where you, plan something pleasurable every day, regardless of how you feel. And I think by doing this, even though we don't, again, have that next known thing, what we can do is we can get to learn about other aspects of who we are, in our young adulthood and in our life, and in our different stages of adulthood as well. So I felt like it was really a good time and pretty appropriate to really just discuss that kind of space of the unknown that we're called to live upon so frequently in life. And really, I want to put a plug in for really trying to, maintain a sense of presence, when our mind is really sort of trying to pull us out of this moment to try to help us. Our mind's always trying to help us, but it's sometimes a little misguided, and transitions are a time also, as an eating disorder therapist and professional, and someone who works with a lot of people who struggle with addiction. This is also a time that sometimes those addictions or eating disorders can tap us on the shoulder and sort of, want to kind of invite themselves back into our life, because those are very predictable. And, they can sometimes give this illusion of a sense of safety and comfort, but also end up, and relieve temporary pain or anxiety, right? But really end up creating bigger problems down the road and make it literally impossible for us to really show up to whatever it is that is coming down the path, in a present way. So we want to be mindful too of those different, I think I call them trapdoors, that we can fall down, that are enticing us to avoid, momentary discomfort. But they will, promise, a lifetime of pain if we go down that path, bigger picture. So we want to try to get support if that's us, and, resist going down those pitfalls. And again, just plugging into something greater than ourself that, can help us to really weather these storms of transition and the uncomfortability that comes, as we are asked to live in this space of the unknown, certain times. So I'd love to hear from you guys more about this if you're so inclined. And feel free to come and follow me on my YouTube channel if you're interested in hearing more. And I want to wish everybody happy transitions, happy changes, and happy living in this unknown, comfortable living within this unknown period of our life. Thank you so much.